Welcome to the Predicted Weekly Markets podcast. This is the podcast where we analyze news through the lens of prediction markets. I'm Jacob Studwell. I'm your host. I'm here with Garth Yuckham, the predicted market guru. I don't know if you have a preference on your title, Garth, but I'm going back and forth. We'll figure one out.
That'll do.
The letter of the day is V, stands for volatility, because last week we were talking all about Epstein files when we were looking at things. Voting yes in the House for the release of the Epstein files was at 11 cents, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
It's now at 99. It's now been, called by the prediction markets. It's happening. Everyone's voting yes. And, overnight, last night, we had Trump calling for everyone to vote yes. He flipped completely. He said, you know what? I know I met with Lauren Boebert in the Situation Room about this. Really didn't want it to get out. Now we're just 180. We're going to flip around and say, yes, everyone, please vote yes for the Epstein file release. Can you believe it?
Of course I can believe it. We've already been here before. Trump he's great at this. I mean, he's literally, it makes me wonder why we beat around the bush for so long. All he had to do is say, okay, let's do it, and we're done. And literally, you can see the markets this morning. You've got the Senate up to 79 cents. It's up 34 cents already this morning. People have woken up and realized, oh, you've got a free pass. You look at the Johnson market, will he be speaker through the Congress? Hasn't moved. Trump has literally just washed his hands of it and said, guys, don't worry about it. Do it. I'm not worried. You shouldn't be worried. Vote as you wish. And now everybody has to vote for it, right? And that's the great part. It's it's just kind of amazing how he's able to do this.
I mean, so the number of votes in the House, 336 or more, is at 91 cents. Is that underpriced? If all the Democrats are on board and Trump is saying vote yes, can we get something close to unanimous?
Massey was saying before Trump came out, I think we got 100 Republicans on this. So, Before. It was before Trump jumped in. So, it could be underpriced. I mean, that could be free money right there.
All right, the FM term just came out for the first time. Please invest responsibly. But I don't disagree that it could be underpriced for sure, Garth. I think that's not crazy. And going over to the Senate market, this is, will the Senate pass a bill or resolution by December 31st asking for the Epstein files? Right now it's 69 cents. It's gone up. For November 13th, it was 20 cents. Just to keep everyone in a frame of mind, 5 days we went up 50 cents. I think this is also underpriced. I think the Senate, John Thune is not disinterested in putting a vote to the floor. You have till the end of the year. There's enough time. I think there's a lot of momentum here. I'm buying at 69.
To me, there's no risk. Once Trump said, if you send it to me, I will sign it. So why not send it to him? Be done with it.
Right, and then you can move on to the flailing economy.
Right, exactly.
Well, wait, maybe they want it to last in the news. Maybe they.
Maybe they won't have to talk about healthcare subsidies or do their day job.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe they should just expand this out a little longer, piece it out, say Epstein Files Part 1, and then Part 2, and then Part 3. I mean, it already totally feels possible. Like, how many emails are there that everyone can release that aren't the actual files? It's really crazy.
Man. And, what I find interesting as well is if we shift over to the who will leave the office markets, Bondi, Bongino, I mean, these guys are still trading at 4 or 5 cents. They're also getting out scot-free on this to a certain degree. If you shift over to, first out, which cabinet member is going to be out, right? You're not seeing any movement in any of these markets. Everybody seems to be on a glide path to get to the end of the year.
And I think that's the most surprising market for me. Just in the first, year of the Trump administration, Part 2, I would have guessed one of these guys would have been out. And that's the difference between part 2 and part 1. There are pure, strict loyalists in this administration, and they are not on the outs. There's no pressure for them if they are loyal to Trump. I mean, as long as they do exactly what he says, no one's going to be calling for their jobs, even if they're generally incompetent. I mean, RFK, we've already retracted the whole Tylenol thing, and 1 cent, he's not leaving before 2025.
He's not leaving. I mean, the highest price contract right now is 3 cents.
Right. And that's Pete Hegseth. And that's more, I think, from a Congress's point of view. Like, if we keep bombing boats in Venezuela or in the middle of the ocean, maybe Congress will get angry. Pete will get his seat hot. But 3 cents. I mean, it's clear. It's not happening this year. Clearly.
I mean, it's clearly not. I mean, Duffy's been in the news. Russell Fott's been in the news. I mean, all of these guys have touched or been close to touching lightning here. And nope, nothing.
Yeah, no, I think Kash Patel, has been in the every single person has had their limelight. The news just came out that Kristi Noem spent $200 million filming commercials while the shutdown was going on. Her riding on horses, beautiful scenery. America looks great. $200 million on no bid contracts, by the way. Nobody actually bid on these contracts. They just accepted whoever was willing to film these. So it doesn't matter what the headline is. That everyone's safe. I mean, is everyone going to be safe through 2026? Is everyone going to stay on through the entire administration?
Well, I think the big difference here is that this year, in many ways, is everybody finding their feet and getting to the task. Next year, we've got midterms. And then, depending on how midterms go, either the run up to or after, I think there's more room for the axe to fall on either one of these people. Yeah, there's more potential, more volatility in 2026. Just because of, it'll be campaign time, right? And if you're not swimming in the right direction and helping the team, off we go.
Yeah, it's weird that the only thing these days that will move measurably is elections. Kind of ironic, just given how Trump's thoughts on elections have been over time and how secure and accurate they are. But I do let me give a really quick rundown of all the headlines, and this is mostly in the administration from Friday. This was a tweet from Sam Stein from Bulwark. Just today, this was on Friday, 11/14/2025. We had an expo today revealing that the Health and Human Services Secretary still uses psychedelics and even smoked dimethyl-tryptamine. I think it's I forget what the street name is, but some crazy drug. That's the Health and Human Services Secretary.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Then we have a report that the deputy FBI director wasn't given a background check. The deputy FBI director wasn't given a background check. Just repeating so you can keep up. A report that Michael Flynn might get $50 million settlement. I guess the government's just paying out everybody. Trump himself, Michael Flynn, anybody who asks. Then we have the president sicking the DOJ on Democrats tied to Epstein, which now looking back at that whole thing doesn't really make any sense because he flopped. What do we think? Is that going to keep going, or is Pam just going to put that in the grave?
I mean, you wake up one morning, you're doing this job. You wake up the next morning, oh, well, what am I supposed to do today? It's great. What a time to be alive.
It's true. You don't have to have any agency, no thoughts. It's just kind of like, what did he say? Okay, let's do it. Then we have a report that DHS secretary sent millions in ad contracts to a firm tied to her. That's we already talked about that, Kristi Noem. And then we had a congressman alleging that Trump's wannabe assassin may have been groomed. That whole conspiracy island I won't jump on. I don't know what the conversation is. I know there's a lot of infighting on the Republican influencer side with Tucker and Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens and Nick Fuentes. That's a whole nother section. There are no prediction markets tied to that, so we'll skip past that. We're gonna move on down the road, but the word of the day is volatility. If you think something is going to happen, it might be the exact opposite that will happen in less than 5 days. That is how easy things change in this administration. And funny enough, I think Americans really just care about the economy right now. I mean,
They
I
do.
saw that college graduate unemployment is now as high or higher than the Great Recession, which is, again, I think the young people voting against the existing incumbents or administrations is probably an undercurrent that we're really going to see in the midterms. I would assume if you're unemployed, you don't have a job, the economy's not working for you, and you have time to go out and vote, you're probably going to vote against the people who are in office right now. I would just assume.
Yeah, I mean, the WSJ just had an article about that, talking about how 2026 is going to be the worst college grad job market in the last 5 years. That does not bode well, and we all know how bad it was 5 years ago with COVID. So, yeah, that's not going to bode well if you're the party in power. It's your issue now. You have to own it, and you have to have solutions, and people will have to figure out, you know, is this administration heading in the right direction or are they not?
Yeah. And I will say the markets are seeing this. There was a 5 cent jump in Democratic will win the House in 2026. It was 6 cents for the Democrats to win. Now it's 71 cents. I'll reiterate, I think this is a good long-term buy, although you probably could wait just for the news cycle to flip a little bit, get a little bit of a cheaper price. So if you just want to hang in there, take your like 30-cent potential profit there, and move on, I think you could definitely buy at 71 cents, or you could wait it out, wait for a different news cycle. I'm sure, we'll start talking about Schumer and AOC, or Mamdani will do something that will piss people off, and the Democrats will probably fall a little bit. So it's fluid, but the markets are responding to, I think, what is the underlying economic, environment where if the economy is bad, Trump has no leg to stand on. That is his main pitch, is I will fix the economy. I am a businessman. I
I mean,
know
the pocketbook issues are always the strongest, and usually it's the famous saying, it's the economy, stupid. I would take the flip on that because we also still haven't talked about ACA subsidies, the Obamacare. That still has got to play out before the year
Garth,
ends.
it's called Trump Care now. I don't know if
Excuse
you.
me, Trump care. It's got to play out before the end of the year. So I think we have a new cycle. I mean, the FAA just said that flights are resuming. We're going to have the run into Thanksgiving. And I think after Thanksgiving, you'll have the run into to Christmas and the holiday period. And that will be an opportunity for this to jump, depending on how it goes, or fall, depending on how it goes. Which side decides to actually make a movement or make an agreement.
Yeah, I saw Besant was, assuring the American people that we're going to have a new China trade deal before Thanksgiving, which will kick in for Black Friday deals and prices on that front. It's the walk back on tariffs is just incredible. I sort of have an opinion that maybe Trump knew that tariffs would do this, and he has this strategy, and I think it's in Art of the Deal, where you walk into a boardroom, you throw a grenade, you then walk out of the boardroom, let everyone kind of talk about it, and then you go into the boardroom, and then you like defuse the grenade immediately. So it's kind of like you look like you're fixing the problem, even though you
Right.
created the problem, and then maybe you're left with like a little bit of a win because let's say there were no tariffs, and then you said 100% tariffs, and then you end up with 10% tariffs. You have some income for the government. I don't know. That's my general theory, but any tariff thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, some arguments might say that it's better that he's doing something than nothing. But then again, if you look a little closer, as you've just described, it kind of fits very much so into that playbook. But at least he's reassessing in some regards the relationships that we have with some of our trading partners. But has he stepped too far? Will the Supreme Court come down and say that, okay, you really can't do that? And then at that point, he might have a mess on his hands. And, the idea will have been lost in that regard. So, I think anything's possible at this time.
It's a great call out, by the way, for the will SCOTUS strike down Trump tariffs. Right now, the yes is trading at 78 cents. That's actually down from 84 cents a week ago, which is interesting. I think, you know what, SCOTUS markets are very funny because there are oral arguments. You can listen to them. You can kind of read
Yeah, they're great.
of each of the judges. Yeah, I think it's very interesting, and if it just gets people to kind of listen to oral arguments, I think it's pretty cool. But when there's no news, there's no oral arguments, there's nothing
Exactly.
between yesterday, a week ago and today, and there's actually like a pretty significant movement of like 5, 6, 7 cents. What happens there? I guess people start to get a little bit nervous.
Well, you can see it. I mean, November 1st, we were trading at 50 cents, and by November 8th, we're up to 86 cents. I mean, are you going to take that money that you've just made? I mean, that's 36 cents right there. I mean, so I mean, we've seen that over time here on Predicted. The news cycle has moved on. You could have easily taken your winnings or whatever success you've had in this market and moved it over to the government shutdown market. You could have moved it over to the Epstein files. You could have moved it over to maybe a longer term play like House control, like we talked about, or Senate control. And because the nature of, as you said, the Supreme Court markets. I mean, you have all this information. You have this live feed of what's going on. You hear all the stories about oh, this justice said that. This justice asked that question. What does that mean? Tone of voice. Were they joking amongst each other, and then silence until they release their ruling. And so that, I think this is a little bit natural for the market to peter out just a little bit. I mean, obviously people are going to hold on because at 77 cents, that's 23-cent payday. Yes.
No, I mean, I think it's good advice to potentially buy this small dip. Now's a chance to just get in right at the end. Again, I still think it does seem like these tariffs are going to be ruled down. And by the way, these are just specific tariffs filed under a specific reasoning. This isn't all tariffs. Just so people are clear on the rules. Always read the rules, everyone, just
Always
so you know.
read the rules.
They're very specific. They're very clear. Predicted. Super, super clear about the rules. But buying this dip is a great idea. I think ruling against the tariffs, SCOTUS will do that at some point, and if you just kind of hang in there, 20 cents here that you could make right now, so it's a good buy. All right, I do want to mention that next week we're planning on doing a 2028 Democratic nominee draft. That'll be a lot of fun, Garth. Very excited. Get your draft list ready. This is like fantasy football, but if you had to look 3 years into the future, and it's nothing like fantasy football at all. But I do want to shout out. There's a new 2028 market on Predicted. It is who will win the 2028 Republican presidential primary in New Hampshire. Good stuff. Love New Hampshire. New Hampshire favors a certain type of candidate. I think New Hampshire is actually the most representative of the country of the big, the first three primaries. Right now, you can kind of get in early and take your JD Vance tickets that you want, or maybe you're like, who forgot about Ron DeSantis? I think Ron DeSantis is still gonna go out hard, but just a shout out there. And Marjorie Taylor Greene also featured in the 2028 New Hampshire Republican presidential primary. So get your tickets in now. I do want to end this episode talking a little bit about Chile. Garth, you're the international market king, so please give us like a good backdrop overview, and then what we're seeing going forward.
Yeah, we saw Jeanette Yara, I think that's how she's pronounced, come out as the first round victor last night with 99% of the vote. She came in at just under 27%, which is great. Unfortunately, I think she's won the battle and will lose the war. 70% of the vote last night or yesterday went to right-wing candidates, and in fact, the third place and fourth place align more closely to the second place finisher, Jose Antonio Cast.
So it's now a runoff with just the two candidates?
Right, so there will be a runoff on December 14th. They'll both try to probably shift a little bit back towards the middle. Yara is famously known as the communist since she was 14. She's been with the party forever. Cast is a family-oriented gentleman who's run 2 times and has a bit of a sordid past or past legacy, family connections that have sunk him before, but we will see. Security.
What are those family connections? Just want to.
His father may or may not have been aligned with a Nazi past. So.
Okay. You have communism and you have Nazis. It really feels
Yes.
like we haven't moved too far past the mid 20th century.
And yeah, it's fascinating because this is South America's one of its best performing countries. They have a 2% deficit, and Cast is saying, "I'll fix the deficit." It's kind of stark in comparison to some of their neighbors. But immigration, migration, and security have been big this year and have proven to be influential in who succeeded. So I think Cast is well placed to succeed in about a month's time. I think as of right this morning, was over 90 cents to win.
95 right now is what
95 cents. So
Yeah.
I think traders are on board with quite the negative outlook on Yara being able to come out and make up ground. So that's
Interesting.
Chile.
Yeah, this market seems kind of dead at 95 cents, and then Yara's at 6 cents. But yeah, thanks for the rundown. Always interesting to hear about all of these international elections. So we'll always feature a little bit of a talk right at the end of these episodes on these international markets. Garth, are you all set for today and ready to take on the news that comes this week?
The news that comes in the next hour or 5 hours however. That's what we do here at Predict It. We follow the news and we stay on top of it with the markets.
Love it. All right, I'll see you next week for the 2028 Democratic nominee draft. And that is the Predict It Weekly Markets podcast for 11/17. Thanks, everyone. So I learned that the music does play. I just don't hear it.
So you press a button and then it just
I pressed the button and it's playing now. Oh, no,
okay.
no, it's not. You know why? Because I didn't turn up the volume. Reset that.
Oh, there it is.